Thank you again for logging into the Minor League Baseball webinar titled Major League Research in Minor League Baseball. So the team that are on this side of the call, you've got myself, Lucas Topley, Mark Ramchkati, and Dennis Galupi. And if you aren't familiar with Haynes Hendrickson, he's our president of Turnkey Intelligence. Mark and I will be in the winter meetings, be at the winter meetings in December. Should you wish to have further conversations with us, we'd love to see what every team is doing research-wise and how we can best help you collect the data that you're looking for. The goals for today's webinar are essentially just try and have and grow a community within minor league baseball about those that are interested in analytics and research, and help those that are trying to perfect what they are currently collecting, and essentially just inspire dialogue and have a conversation about what is existing in the sports industry. There are so many buzzwords across analytics, research, data, that we want to try and simplify that and help everyone the best that we can. The three speakers on today's webinar are Chase Naioli, Ryan Shelton, and Donna Kirby, all from the Rail Riders, Salem Red Sox, and the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. They've got three different topics that they will speak about, and so we're definitely excited to have them on the webinar, and hopefully you find their topics equally as exciting as we do. And all questions for them will be held to the very end. So there is a questions feature in panel in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you want to type in your questions there and submit them, we'll be sure to send those questions to the speakers afterwards. If you are dialing in for the call, we recommend using a landline rather than a cell phone just because it's more stable. However, if you are limited to a cell phone, then we are glad that you're able to at least make the call. After the webinar, you will receive a copy and recap of the presentation. So if you want to share it internally with other members of your organization, you can spread the recording around. And again, lastly, one final reminder that if you've got questions, please type them in and we will field them at the end. However, if you have more questions directed towards the speakers afterwards that you think about, you can send them to us at Turnkey, and we can forward them along to the speakers. All right. Without no further ado, I turn it over to Chase Naioli.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chase, and I'm the Director of CRM and Business Analytics for the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. I started with the team about a year ago when they realized they really wanted to take a much more actionable approach to all of their data. Now, at the time, the team was using their own CRM system. They had been a 2-year subscriber to Turnkey, as well as a subscriber to Scarborough Analytics and maybe 15 other products. And unfortunately, they found themselves in a form of data paralysis or analysis paralysis, where they were trying to figure out what do we have and how do we use it. So you can imagine when I started, I had more tools than I knew what to do with. And the first one that was made really easy for me to jump on board with and to really sink my teeth into was Turnkey, and especially their network survey. For those of you that don't use it, the network survey just provides this platform amongst all the teams that use it throughout the league that shows you kind of like a stepping point for the past 3 years for us of where we were measured on various different attributes, and then how we compare not only with ourselves but also other teams, and then even other products outside of our market. So going forward, see if this works here. Can you guys give me the slides or click it through? You guys got me? Cool. All right. So with a network survey, there's a 4-step approach that we really use with it and what we found the most use for. So the first and the most important part for most of us is collection. So to harvest this data, we took 2 very simple approaches just to get our feet wet this year, with me being my first year. And the first is online. So with the online, you'll see at the top of the slide here, it's a quick little button that goes on every one of our email correspondence, as well as vast arrays of different digital correspondence. We'll do this on every homestand blast, which is normally about 2 blasts per homestand or 3 to 4 game stretch, as well as 2 mass emails that went out to every user throughout the year. What's cool is when we use the digital link as opposed to other stuff, or as far as collecting it in person, we're seeing a lot more people just wanting to jump in there. and we've got a lot of good feedback for that. Beyond just doing it online, we definitely have put an emphasis on doing it offline. One of the cool features with Turnkey is there's an app that you can use in conjunction with it by Vermint called EFM Offline. Because not everybody has Wi-Fi in their stadiums, not everybody has access to the internet when they're going out to a mall or anywhere else where they're canvassing. So what this allows us to do is install this app on any one of our iDevices and let our reps, ticket salespeople, any kind of sponsor connection, go out there and collect these surveys just on the spot, and it'll harvest all that data, and then once you're back to an online point, we'll be able to let you upload it all back in. Where we use it in the stadiums is at guest check-in for events. So when people are coming into our lines and waiting to get in the gates, we have different, we call them our pinstripe patrol, out there collecting surveys while they're also collecting names for in-game opportunities. We do it also at the guest services window, which you see in the picture there, and also at our ticket table where we're constantly telling fans about new ticket options and also signing them up for renewal packages and other stuff like that. Beyond that, we always try and incorporate some kind of carrot to our surveys, meaning here's a baseball signed by XYZ or a hat or so on and so forth. We found that when we do that, no matter what we're having people fill out, they're down to give us all their information and don't even look twice. When you're just doing a random survey or just going, hey, can you fill this out, you don't get half as much feedback from them. So yeah, the next slide. So the network survey. So if you guys haven't dug into it, this is a copy of the 2016 network survey. This is our personal 2 slides. You got a lot of different information here, but on your first slide you have the game day experience. And so what we've found here with our game day experience is if you look at the numbers, we're not exactly the top of the heap. We rank in the bottom tier of almost every category. And at first, that's completely shocking. Like when we look at this, we're like, man, we must be doing really bad. I mean, especially coming off of a new ballpark and a championship winning season. You know, what did we do wrong? And looking through here, we can see that we got an 8.8 on our venue environment, and then we got an 8 on our venue technology, which were some of the lower rankings. So for us, we're like, all right, how do we improve this, and what do we do better? Then we're thinking to ourselves, like, is this the worst score? Can we do better? And what's great about this is that while it looks like, in comparison to all the other MIL or our constituent teams, that we're not doing so well, if you look at our market comparisons to the right, we can see that we're beating almost every category for everything else within our market, which is the Mid-Atlantic, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. So while we can look at this and be like, whoa, let's take a step back, what are we doing completely wrong here? We realize everybody else throughout our market is kind of in the same boat as we are. So while it's shocking, it's kind of a demographic trend we're seeing for everybody in our market. So is it something with our fans, people in this area? Who knows? But still, it kind of gives us more of a depth of what we're looking at in a short period of time. So from this, we decided, all right, going back to the venue environment and the venue technology, what are we going to do to make this better? The great news is that we have 2 years of data showing where we were, and if we continue with the network survey next year, which we plan on doing, we can examine what we're going to do and how is it going to have an effect. So from this, click the next slide, please. We decided to do some experimentation. So part of our 2017 capital improvement plan is to overhaul all of our technology and venue environment. So the first thing that we're doing as part of this capital improvement plan is to provide in-stadium Wi-Fi. This will not only open us up to improving our venue technology, but also a wider variety of ways to collect information and data on people throughout the stadium, whether it's at the landing page when they first sign into our network, we can have them complete a network survey there, as well as various other opportunities. Another thing that we're looking to put in for 2017 with a partner is wireless charging stations. So again, with these, there's always a sign-up portion of it, and having our iPads, now that it'll be Wi-Fi and network capable, we can collect data at that spot right at the minute. And what's cool is when they're using something that is basically a benefit, you're going to always see better results as far as your survey results. Moving forward, another capital improvement that we're pretty excited about is it looks like we're going to be doing a center field zip line in the behind the batter's eye of our stadium. Again, not only does this help us increase our score, increase the game day environment, but it also provides us with yet another opportunity to collect information for people as they're signing up for the zip line, to do a quick survey along those lines as well. Another thing that we're putting into the experimentation, which is less fun but more technical, is the amend fields. This is something that Lucas definitely helped me learning throughout the season, and something that we're putting as a crux of our information gathering moving forward. So with amend fields, what we can do is do specific surveys to anybody that we want to, rather than just doing an anonymous mass blast. What this will allow us to do is not give us the overarching picture, which the network survey already does, but give us a more granular look at each individual, what they're looking to do, what their pluses and minuses are, and how we can be a better environment for them. Next one, please. And re-examination. So going into 2017, we have a really cool environment, because not only are we going to be one step ahead of the game with the networking system, but we're also going to be host for the 2017 National Championship game. What this means is we're going to have a lot more people within our stadium and a lot more people to be able to touch, and with the Wi-Fi. So what we'll be doing is pushing the network survey even harder and stronger, trying to get more reactions, and just to see, did the changes that we actually implemented from the actionable intelligence from Turnkey actually make sense for us. And the hope would be that if we see the progress there, we can keep using this as a tool for our capital expenditures and in-game environment improvements moving forward beyond 2017 into the future. And that's about all I got.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Chase. All right. Again, if you've got questions for Chase, please type in the question box and submit them, and we'll be sure to ask Chase at the end of the presentation. I'll now turn it over to Ryan Shelton with the Salem Red Sox.
Hello, and thank you for listening to me talk about what we're doing here in Salem here for a few minutes. As you saw at the beginning, my name is Ryan Shelton. I'm the President and General Manager here in Salem. I've been General Manager here since 2013 in August of that year, and this was our first year using Turnkey. So it's been a lot of education that Lucas was able to help us with this year, but it's been some great information we've gotten. So I'm going to go right into it. We have kind of limited time, so go to the first slide here. Our deployment and how we actually got our surveys out. After each game, something we started new this season was a post-game email that went out to everyone that we had an email address for that attended the game, excluding our full season and half season ticket holders. We didn't want to send 70 of these emails to them, so we did only do one email a month to those individuals. But primarily our single game ticket buyers, people who bought online, people we were able to capture email addresses from at the box office, and our group buyers, we were able to send a thank you email to after each game. It was the real point of the email on our internally was to be able to deploy the survey and get that out, but we also had some benefits for the fan with links to the box score, the game story, upcoming games where they could click on the links and purchase tickets for future games, which is obviously a great benefit for us as well. There's a personal note from me that I would somewhat customize off of a template for each game, but the key was to get the survey out. And with that, as Chase shared, we did incentivize fans to fill out the survey, different random prizes, different drawings throughout the year based on filling out the survey. Again, it was very helpful at getting people to give us complete information and to get to the end of the survey as well. What you see on the right is a game night handout that we did through our ushers and game night staff, as well as fans were exiting the ballpark. And with this, it had a number of elements on it. One, you'll see the In the Park app that's obviously going away this year, but signing up for our text alerts. But at the bottom, we have the QR code where guests can just go ahead and click there, fill out the survey, and be entered to win prizes. So for the network survey, that's how we primarily deployed that. And we felt like we had great success with this being something new. this year. We did have around 750 respondents throughout the season. So Lucas gave us some benchmarking and felt like that was some good, a good response rate. So for the results, you'll see this an example of an email that we received. We set triggers that could be assigned to different members of my staff based on certain comments or renewal intents or NPS scores. We would have triggers that were sent to myself, my assistant GM, my vice president of ticket sales and service, and the VP of operations. So we all received these types of comments. So you see this was after we sold out our Star Wars night in late April, and you'll see the NPS comment is the single biggest issue was with the food lines. It was good for all members of the senior leadership to be able to see that information and see it quickly. So all of these do come to the leadership, but based on what the survey actually said, we can then go ahead and forward that email to someone with our service or retention team. We can send it to someone with food and beverage. We can send it to city officials. We can send it to our investors. Or we can use the data to send to our investors. We've had concerns with our restrooms here. Our ballpark is 21 years old, and the restrooms have not been updated in 21 years. So it's been able to help us receive some financing from the city to revamp the bathrooms by being able to have this survey data. So instead of just saying we feel like the bathrooms need to be updated, we're able to give real tangible information to our city officials. So again, with the using the results, food and beverage was a great area where we were able to make actionable, use this data to make real changes during the year. We did have some fairly poor F&B scores. Very much we've treated F&B as a separate operation within our organization over the past few years, and just respected each other's boundaries. This was, the Turnkey data was able to help us look at the organization holistically and realize how our food and beverage operation affected other areas of the business, and it did affect our ticket sales and whether people would return and their overall happiness at the ballpark. We did see this even in season tickets renewal intents were at times lower for lack of food variety. So being able to see this data, and this chart was from earlier in the season before we started acting on some of the changes. We added hawkers later in the year, having hawkers walk around with beer and popcorn and cotton candy and different items going through the stands. We added food trucks. Our ballpark infrastructure does limit our ability to add additional stands or different points of sale. So we did bring in a couple of food trucks on our heavier games and nights where we knew we were going to have sellouts. We also began, for food variety, at the end of the year we tested out a Taco Tuesday, and it went over very well received. And it may not seem like 2 beef tacos for $5 is the best deal in the world or much of a game changer, but here in our market with the food and beverage variety that we had, this was overwhelmingly positively received, and we really just couldn't make enough tacos that night. And it's something that we are going to implement next year. All of our Tuesday games are going to be Taco Tuesdays. So where we're probably most excited by the Turnkey data is with our season tickets. We've had rapid season ticket growth here in a short period of time. In 2013, we had about 130 season ticket holders. In 2016, we had about 1,200. So with that, we need to make sure that we're making the right decisions to continue to grow that base and nurture that base and be able to move forward. So as we put together our season ticket on sale campaign, Every year we go on sale in mid-July. We want to be on sale as early as possible in the season to have as much time for face-to-face selling as we can. So in early June, we deployed a survey to our season ticket holders. It was in the email you see here on the right. Again, we incentivized season ticket holders to fill it out. So everyone who filled it out did receive some form of prize. Our e-blast was opened by 72% of the recipients, and 85% of those completed the survey. What's exciting by this chart here that we have the NPS score is that 86%, almost 87% of the fans who, of season ticket holders who filled this out rated us at a 9 or 10 on the NPS. Almost 97% gave us an 8 to 10. So we felt like, season ticket holders did have an overall satisfaction with us and a willingness to promote us to their friends, family, and folks within the community, but we weren't seeing the renewal rate that we were looking for. So what I'm going to move on to here is what we got in the survey results, and that is if fans were overall happy with their experience, but for some reason were giving a renewal intent that they weren't intending to come back, we knew at that point all we needed to do was address whatever that specific issue was, whatever their specific reason for not renewing. If we could address that, we would see spikes in both our renewal and our new sales. And you'll see on the chart here on the left why unlikely to renew. The overwhelming #1 reason why fans were saying they weren't going to renew, of course, of only the fans that did select that they had a 5 or lower intent of renewing, was that they weren't able to attend enough games. So if you look at question 4 here, it asked how many times a year do you exchange your tickets for a different game, and overwhelmingly the leader was 0 to 5 times. So we found that people aren't renewing their tickets, or there's a block of people who intend to not renew their tickets because they aren't able to use them. Yet number 4 tells us that they're not actually using the exchange program. Then we move on to question 11, and where we ask, and this was a custom question we put in, are you aware of the following season ticket member benefits? And we found that 25% of respondents weren't aware of the season ticket exchange program. So by being able to better communicate that in the renewal process and really almost go through a re-education and put pressure on our sales reps and our retention reps to educate our season ticket holders of this information, we're able to see a higher renewal rate. Something else that's interesting on question 11 is we had put a specific campaign early in the year to educate season ticket holders of a 25% discount on suites as one of their benefits, yet that was the highest percentage of respondents saying they weren't aware of that benefit. So again, it allowed us to hold our reps accountable and make sure that we are continuing with that education. For the exchange program, we were, during the renewal process, able to actually take a proactive approach to reach out to accounts through our ticket system that had a low ticket usage and actively find games for them to exchange their tickets for, or find ways, whether it's through a church group or a charity, ways for them to donate their tickets or to bring a group of people or friends or family out. So continuing here, another important question for us this year among our premium gifts that we have for season ticket holders, of the 5 gifts that they were able to choose from, 3 of them were bobbleheads. We're really heavy on the collectible side, which is something that tends to come from being in a front office. We do really gravitate toward those types of items. And from the survey, we found that collectible items was the 3rd response. The far and away the largest response was apparel, and the second was food credits. So you'll see in the top right our renewal incentives. were built around, we're hosting the 2017 Carolina League All-Star Classic next year. So we have a replica jersey that fulfills the apparel desire. We also did a food credit for those who renewed by August 18th. They would receive $25 in stocks bucks is what we call them, but food or merchandise credit per seat. So what we've seen is that on October 1st, 2016, our renewal percentage was 51%. This year, it's 68%, approaching 70 now. Recovered, the new plus renewal was 71%. Now we're at 93%. So we are well on our way to a fourth straight season of significant season ticket growth. And that's what I have. I can't say enough good about Turnkey and the data that we had. Being on our first year using them, I know that we've learned a lot throughout the year, and there's even new and more ways we'll use them next year. And even from talking with Donna a little bit, looking forward to what she has to say. I think there's new things we'll do, and hearing what Chase had to say, we'll definitely use a lot of theirs as well. So thank you for your time.
Awesome, Ryan, that's so great. I love those results. We're definitely going to talk more about those moving forward. Donna, you now have the floor. Tell us all about the great Pensacola Blue Wahoos and how survey focused you guys are as an organization entirely from top to bottom.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for having me here, and hello everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar. It's Donna Kirby from the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. I'm the Vice President of Operations over here, and yeah, like Lucas was saying, we are very, very focused on surveys. We send out surveys to all the guests who attend after every single one of our games, and really what from an organizational standpoint, we really believe in Lucas. Can you forward these slides for us here? Or I don't have control of this, but from a global viewpoint, from a 30,000-foot level, we take our surveys and we kind of look at all different layers that we can to kind of help us make sure that we're putting the best product out there. We'll look at the after every 70 games, we send out the survey and ask the fans, how do we do? We'll survey our peers here in the front office and ask, what can we do better to make this the best place you've ever wanted to work? We'll ask the Cincinnati Reds at the end of the season, how did we do? What things can we improve upon for the next season? We'll reach out to our sponsors and our partners and say, did you get the value that you wanted for your buy-in to supporting the Blue Wahoos? And what did you enjoy about it? What didn't you enjoy about that? And then I think that the key to that is really using the information that we get back to provide that engagement. It's one thing to have, I always talk about this when I give these seminars, it's one thing to have fans who are satisfied with their products. It's fine to go out there to the Blue Wahoos games and everything, but it's another thing to have those fans that are really engaged and saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe what they're doing at the Blue Wahoos. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the slides, but we really focus with our game day staff, for example, on our Net Promoter Score. After every single game, we're giving them that benchmark. This is what our Net Promoter Score is coming in currently for this homestand, and I always explain it to them that the 9s and the 10s are the people saying, if you go to Pensacola and do nothing else, you've got to go to a Blue Wahoos game, minus those people that are 6 and lower saying, go have a root canal before you go to a Blue Wahoos game, so they get a kick out of that, and we use that as a motivational tool for them, but we'll talk about that a little further. I wanted to show you guys real quick just some examples of the metrics that we ask on these on some of these surveys here. So if you can forward that to Game Day Experience for me, Lucas, real quick, please. Yeah, so these are some, and I know this is very small and a little hard to see, but I wanted you guys to kind of see some of the touch points that we reach out to the fans and ask them about. Our ticket sellers' friendliness, our ticket takers' enthusiasm, our usher, our stadium's cleanliness, the video board production, everything. We want to know from the moment they get out of their car in the parking lot through the moment they, buy their hot dog at the stand and sit down in their seat, how their experience has been. And we ask them, we always believe our culture promotes, asking first, what's working well? What are we doing right? What are some of the things that you'd like to recognize us for doing well? Is it a staff member? Is it something you saw happen that was great? And then we'll ask them, how can we improve? What can we do better to make this an even better experience for you the next time you come to a Blue Wahoos game? And then we'll take that information. But there was a study done by the folks over at the Gallup polls, and they do the Gallup Path, and it's kind of an 8-step process that shows how you get engaged customers who are going to come back. And the step right before having engaged customers who are going to be sustainable customers, you've got engaged employees. So the information that we get off of these surveys, we are very transparent with. We share that with our front office staff in our pregame meetings every single day. We go over comments that we received. We go over the ratings that we're receiving on those different metrics and look for ways that we can improve. And that's all driven off of this Gallup path. I think it's, if you guys want to Google it and read a little bit more about it, but this little slide here can show you kind of the different steps. You've got your engaged employees who are actively promoting the Wahoos and everything that we've got going on here, that are promoting the engaged customers who are going to keep coming back for more. And we've been very fortunate. We just finished our 5th season, and we haven't seen a decline in attendance at all. In fact, we've seen an uptick in people wanting to buy season tickets, and that's telling us that we're hopefully doing something right. You know, for the first 4 seasons of our existence, we had a losing record on the field, but our attendance kept growing. So in every survey we'd send out, we'd get people saying, you know, I can't stand baseball, but I can't wait to get to a Blue Wahoos game again. I had a great time. So, you know, it's all this feedback and everything that we take and try to glean any sort of information that we can off of it to make things better for our fans and our staff. Can you go to the next slide, please? There we go. So that's the game day experience. And some of this is what I wanted to show you guys too. What we'll do is take the responses, the actual verbatim responses that we get in the questions that we ask, and we download those and share them with the front office staff. And then within this, we'll have our pregame meeting and review some of the comments that are submitted from the night before, and see in real time within 24 hours how we can react to some of the criticisms that we've received overnight, and how we can improve that product. So you can see what I was talking about before. We ask, you know, what worked well? What did you enjoy the most about your visit to tonight's game? And then we'll ask them, what can we do to make it better for next time? And then we'll ask them, you know, who do you think at the Blue Wahoos deserves recognition for doing their job well? And then we leave an open-ended question. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Now, I can tell you guys we get awfully good information from this, but we also receive a lot of entertaining information from this. We get some pretty fun stories, so we always get a kick out of that, but very, very good stuff. Can you go to the next slide there for me, Lucas? Thank you. We ask our peers, we'll do a peer review of our coworkers here in the front office, and we'll ask everybody to rate the person on, you know, being on time to meetings, their professionalism. Did they get back to me, you know, about an email that I sent to them? How was their approachability? Is this person coachable? Is there something that we should be working on with this staff member to help them become a better leader in the organization? Or is there something you'd like to call this person out for, you know, that you saw them doing a great job in some areas, so that we can create role model behavior that we can use. And these surveys help us to do that. When we're having mid-year reviews or we're having year-end reviews, we can sit down, pull these surveys out of Turnkey and say, hey, this is what your peers are saying. Let's go over a coaching path for you so that we can create a better environment for you and for your peers to work in. There we go. The Cincinnati Reds, we stay in touch with them pretty frequently throughout the year too, but at the end of the year we like to get some actual tangible information from them on what worked well, what can we improve upon. And these are some of the things that we reach out to them and ask them to rate us on, responding to emails. You know, how were the Reds executives treated when they came here? Was the batting cage great? You know, how about the field? Tell us a little bit about the field. And just again, giving us a real-time report card that we can look at and react to as needed. And then, yeah, you got it. There we go. And then our sponsors and our partners. I mean, everybody knows how important our sponsors are to us as baseball entities, anyway, keeping us going and everything. But what we do with this is at the end of the year when we're doing proof of performance, we'll actually use the feedback that we've received throughout the year from our sponsors, you know, when they've come out to a game or when we've actually reached out to them with a survey and asked them to rate us. We'll use this in our proof of performances and say, this is what you told us, and here's the, you know, feedback you gave us and how we're going to react to it. You like that we're doing this and you don't like that we're doing that, so here's what we're going to do differently going forward. And that builds that transparency and that trust between us and our sponsors, so that we're it's a good faith. It's a showing of good faith, and it's making them, you know, trust us more, so they're feeling committed to us and feeling that they're buying into something that they can believe in here with the Blue Wahoos. we go. Yeah, and this is just the second half of the survey with the sponsors there. We're asking them how likely are you to re-up for your agreement at the end of your agreement here? Extremely likely and, through extremely unlikely, and tell us what we can do better, how we can improve, and what you liked about it, what worked well for you. There we go. Doesn't want to go. Not forwarding for me, Lucas. There we go. Yeah, so anyway, that was just real quick, and I know I'm talking fast to get fired up about this stuff, but like I was saying, when we're sending these surveys out on all these different levels, it really is, we treat it as a real-time report card. We're looking at this and saying, you know what, it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes to approach all these different layers, but we really want to know as a whole, as an entity, are we hitting all the marks that we need to from a staffing standpoint, from a sponsor standpoint? Are we treating the reds well? So the surveys that we send out through Turnkey really, really help us to do that. It's easy, I think, for me, certainly, for a lot of folks, I think, to embrace the good, to really look at it and go, yeah, we're fantastic, this is great, but I really think where the rubber meets the road is being able to remove that ego and just look at the bad stuff too and say, ooh, they are absolutely right. We should have done better with that. How can we do better? And come up with the action plans, right? So it's really removing that ego, recognizing that we can't possibly know everything that we need to know, so keep our eyes and our ears open to information that's sent back to us so that we can truly build that better product. And then follow up, let them know, look, we heard you, we reacted to this, this is what we're doing better, and it builds that trust again. We actually, and we always laugh about this too, because when we've got a 24-hour turnaround on these survey results that we get back, and we'll have a criticism come back and stuff, and 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, when I'll call a fan up who's, they're fed up with us about something, they always say, you guys actually read those? That's the very first thing they actually see. And that's already a win for you, because the very fact that people are shocked that we're reading what they've turned in tells us that, hey, that's great. They know that we're listening, that we're actively, acting on what was displeasing to them, and that creates a win for us. We had, talk about removing our ego, when we first opened up this stadium, it's a beautiful stadium, we're thrilled with how everything went, and we had a big miss, and we didn't know until we were sending the surveys out about this big miss. And the big miss was, we've got a hill, Kelly Hill, which is out, just like so many parks, the berm out there in the outfield, and our scoreboard's out there and everything. So we were sending surveys out, and we kept getting the responses back, and they're saying, we love everything about the games, the staff is friendly, the food is great, we just can't see the scoreboard. And it was then through the surveys that we thought, they're absolutely right. How would they see the scoreboard when they're sitting under it, right? So the team went on a 10-game road trip. While the team was on the 10-game road trip, we got a scoreboard, had it installed behind home plate. Everybody came back for the homestand when the team got back into town, and the folks sitting out there on the hill came back, and they saw that we'd installed that scoreboard thanks to their feedback on the surveys. And it was another win for us, because they were just blown away that you guys actually read them and you actually acted on it and got a scoreboard in, and we couldn't be thrilled. I mean, the survey scores went through the roof on our game metrics from that moment on, so we were thrilled with that. A funny one that came out too was one time we had a fan reply back in the survey, said, we loved everything about our visit, and we're hoping you can help us with this one thing. My wife and I were there. We live in Ohio, and we were going to have a hot dog, but you guys had this condiment. We put it on our hot dog, and it was the best thing we've ever had. In fact, each of us had 3 hot dogs and put that condiment on every single one. We can't find it in our grocery store, so can you please tell us who your vendor is? We want to contact them and purchase this condiment. So a little scratching of our head, called the guy. He said, oh my God, you guys actually read those, and asked him a little bit more about his experience. And long story short, he said, yeah, it's a condiment sitting up there next to the ketchup and the mustard. It's this clear jelly, and I don't know what it is. So we went up and found out the guy was putting hand sanitizer on his hot dog. So we laughed about it. We had a good chuckle over that, kind of called the guy back with the good news, bad news scenario that, hey, the bad news is you were eating, hand sanitizer on your hot dog. The good news is you're not sick. But after we stopped laughing about the whole situation, we realized that, it's probably a good lesson for us. Don't have the hand sanitizer sitting so closely to the condiments up there at the condiments bar. So my point in sharing all of that is that, you can get all sorts of information from all sorts of angles that you wouldn't have normally have found, and you can turn those into a win by just removing that ego, reacting to them, and then letting the fans know that you truly are listening and caring about their experience.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Donna, for those anecdotes.
Yes.
I can't imagine putting hand sanitizer on a hot dog.
We could not stop laughing about it for a very long time, so that was pretty good stuff.
I can imagine, but it's days like that make you really enjoy the job. Just little small stories.
It really does.
Some of the questions that we've received. Chase, you guys made 2 big additions to your venue environment. Are going forward, are making those changes. Have you relayed that information to the fans that you're doing that, or is it going to be a surprise? Or how did you go about, even thanking them or at least letting them know that it's going to happen?
Well, honestly, we haven't put anything out there yet. We're still going through like a few of the bid processes. We should be doing a formal announcement sometime going into the holiday season. So we're probably going to put that as part of it to try and boost our winter sales and get some more attention on us in a time when not many people will be looking at us.
Fair enough. And Ryan, how did you collect the email addresses from the box office single game buyers, and what does that process look like?
That is a feature of our ticket system, Glitner, that anyone who swipes a credit card, there's an easy screen we can go to where we simply just ask for the email address. That's more of a feature of our ticket system.
And then Donna, you've done partnership satisfaction surveys within it. What is the reaction from the partners after you present the data that you've collected? Are they expecting it, or is it more of like a good to have?
No, they kind of actually, by now going into, we just closed our 5th season, they kind of expect it now. I think in the beginning it was a wow for them that, wow, this proof of performance is really in detail and covering a whole lot of different angles that they weren't anticipating. But now I think they kind of look forward to it because we've had calls already. We're wrapping up some of our proofs of performance, and we're pulling that information together for them. And we've had calls asking for it already. When am I going to have my conversation with my sales guy? When are we having that one-on-one? So I think it's kind of neat because we're always promoting, like I said, that transparency and those open lines of communication. And our sponsors have been very, very loyal to us, I think, because of the fact that they realize that we truly care and are truly listening to them. It's built that trust. It's built that loyalty. They're seeing the value in their investment in the Blue Wahoos. And it's not just, it's like Ryan was saying, it's not that ethereal, oh, we think this is working. We're able to tangibly relate their performance back to, what they invested in us, and here's what fans are saying about them too. In fact, on some of our fan surveys that we put out throughout the season that we send out after the 70 games, we'll ask them, can you actively identify, as many banners as possible in the park? Tell us, out of these 45 which you remember seeing, and so we use part of that as our proofs of performance too, and they're very well received by our sponsors.
Great. Yeah, aided and unaided recall have been are definitely a strong measurement performance for sponsorship. When you follow up with your fans and you have that conversation that leads to the wow, you actually read those, is it a phone call or is it an email, or is there different situations that you apply each of those to?
It depends. It depends on really the level of how angry the person is. I'm never coming back to a Blue Wahoos game again. I will absolutely pick the phone up and just call them, and it really depends on the approach that you take with the fan too. So a lot of times I'll approach them and I'll say, you know what, Mr. Jones, thanks so much for your feedback. We value having you as a Blue Wahoos fan and we pride ourselves on putting the best fan experience out there. Obviously we missed the mark with you. Can you please take a minute to talk to me about a little bit what we could have done better, what right would have looked like for you? And then we move into service recovery. Maybe I had a guy last year who was so upset. Now, as irrational as this sounds, and I recognize that it is completely irrational, this was the guy's reality. I got called to his seat. He was mad because he bought a mini helmet of ice cream, and he didn't like how the lady had poured the ice cream into the helmet, the soft freeze. So anyway, I got called over. I think that was the tipping point for him. But his reality was, this is a terrible experience, and I could not talk him down off of that. So I offered to, give him tickets to another game. Let me buy all his food for him here. Let me help you with your parking and all that stuff. Anyway, long story short, I was able to recover his trust in us as an organization by really going that extra mile for him. and making sure that I was sent him a follow-up survey and saying, this is how the night started out, this is what happened, here's what we did, how do you feel now? And he went 180 completely. He bought a mini plan after that, so we felt pretty good about it. But you know, it's not a black and white answer to that, really, Lucas. It's basically case by case. If the person's super mad, I'll pick that phone up and talk to them. If it's somebody, we'll get them in real time too, where fans will, I'll send out the survey in the middle of the 7th inning. They'll get it while they're sitting in their seats. Sometimes start filling it out because they're that mad, and I will go to their seat and talk to them and say, hey, I know you just filled this out. Can I talk to you a little bit more about what's going on? And just kind of try to, you know, diffuse the situation when I can right there.
Great. And are you using the trigger function as well?
Not yet, not yet. And it's something that we're interested in implementing for 2017. We haven't yet because we really use an all-hands-on-deck approach in our pregame meetings in the morning. So we'll get the responses overnight, print them out, go have our pregame meeting, and then review them together as a team. So the triggers with sending them to different departments hasn't been something that we've done yet, but it's something we're talking about.
Chase, you mentioned that your team does a lot of mobile offline surveying where you'll go outside the ballpark and collect data. Where are some other places that you go, and how do you kind of change up what data collection you're looking for?
Well, I guess it all depends on the environment. So we do go to a lot of different places. You know, a lot of our ticketing reps will go to different chamber meetings, networking events, local community functions, and just kind of walk around, try and start conversations with people, and just get them at a place that's not the ballpark. Mostly everybody's willing to talk to us because everybody around here pretty much loves the Rail Riders in baseball. So it allows them to start a conversation that might just be awkward, and then also give them some juice going forward. So if they're talking about a venue technology, a fan might start going off on something. So it almost creates a natural script for them. And that's when it's like one of our reps. Even when some of our marketing reps that are going out and talking to sponsors, they have access to it on their iPhones. So within a specific sponsorship type survey, they might say, hey, here's some questions we've been asking everybody. Do you mind just taking a minute? And it gives it a little bit more of a personal feeling to a lot of people, especially when we do it in the ballpark. Having the rep going around or having somebody with the iPad, just talking to a person rather than talking to another machine. And even though it's a little less convenient for us, it definitely helps us get to our market. Also keep in mind our average fan is roughly about 56 years old, so kind of meeting them halfway is something we normally have to do.
Do you find that you run into challenges then sending, online surveys to such an old fan base?
It depends. There are some fans that definitely don't get that response rate, but we have a younger fan base that we're trying to build on and train to get more used to it. Again, we're not going to alienate anybody that's in our current fan base, but for us to operate maximum efficiency and just to get the most out of our buck as far as time goes, we want to keep trying to train everybody to go towards the digital aspect. Hence, next year when we have the in-park Wi-Fi, part of our whole marketing campaign is educating people on it, the benefits of having it, and something similar to the Red Sox have where coming the gate, here's your pamphlet of, hey, here's what you should be using this for, and this is some of the great benefits of it. So it's more of an uphill battle than most millennials would think of, but it's something we're willing to take on.
And last question, Ryan, you have that three-pronged approach of having the jersey, the bus, and the food implemented for renewals. Have you followed up with fans, I guess outside of that, with an email to tell them that this is the change you're making and why you're making that change? Or are you receiving any feedback that's like, I'm so glad that you're offering these pieces to almost confirm the decision that you've made?
Yes, those particular items were part of our renewal incentive, so they were listed for them with those deadline dates. And we did, as part of the renewal letter that went out, we did let them know that we specifically crafted the entire renewal campaign around that survey data and what we're hearing, so that we did definitely communicate that with them.
Well, thank you everybody for taking the time to call in and join the webinar. This is the conclusion of Major League Research in minor league baseball. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Turnkey or the speakers. We'll be happy to get everyone in touch. Again, we will be at the winter meetings in December. and hopefully we can meet and speak there. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Thanks, Demi, Mark, Haynes.